Belichick lost a step to me.
I'm not going to do this.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Anik Squared.
Isn't it good to be back in the studio? Season 2, Anik Squared, week 16. Dude, it's so nice to see you back home, bro. The last 8 days, do you even know where you are? That UFC Roadshow and everything that your week entailed. Good to see you, man. Whoa. It was weird walking into my house. I feel like I haven't been here in a long time. It was 8 straight days in Las Vegas. I actually forgot that we had Anik Squared today. So when I was on the flight from Dallas to Miami last night, I probably should have been prepping the show. I didn't watch much NFL football last weekend, but it was crazy. I went essentially straight from UFC 296 into a 2023 year in review. And then EA Sports UFC 5, finished voicing that on Monday and Tuesday. So that game is now officially done in the can. And then I flew back through Dallas, got home about 3 a.m. And is it Wednesday today or Thursday? Is. And you travel a lot, so a lot of weeks are like this, where I'm like, bro, this was crazy. But some hit different. And this one did, man. Stuff on the back end. Whenever you have stuff to do after the pay-per-view, it just makes me laugh. Anyway, shout out Big Ron Pellegrino, the Virgin Hotel. Staying up at that penthouse, nothing like it. MMA Awards, it was a good week, man. But I'm sure you're happy to be home for the holidays. And I know you love the NFL. You talk a lot about how passionate you are about sports betting, bro. But it's the NFL, no matter how busy you are, no matter how much you don't want a camera in your face, I know I can get you going on this league. Well, and of course, and I think you kind of buried the lead a little bit today. I know you're going to get to our selections from week 15, but let me just look into my single shot if I could and say, my twin brother doesn't get any credit for his work as an NFL handicapper, so maybe I'll give it to him, right? He's 15 games over 500. He just whacked a 5-0 in week 15, and I ingest the work of a lot of these NFL handicappers, these supposed sharps, right? A lot of them have great information. A lot of them have their own methodology as far as research is concerned, but a lot of them are really conceited and cocky and arrogant, and my brother isn't, and he's 15 games over 500, making 5 picks against the spread on Wednesdays, oftentimes before the injury report ever comes out. So a lot of these guys out there, right? And I guess I didn't intend to get on a pedestal today and try to give advice, but the cockiness with which a lot of these guys give their NFL plays, it's you guys have led me sideways all season long. I should have been listening to you. If I'm playing $200 a game, listening to you, I'm up 3 G's. So well done. Well, we'll get into some of that later. And you just sort of hit the ball off the tee already. So let's just get into our first segment. More fire than ice this week, you can be sure. Football fans, just 3 short weeks remain in the NFL regular season. The playoff picture wide open. Nothing guaranteed for players, coaches, or us, the fans. If you want to get into the playoffs and make a run, you got to get there safely. Getting there safely, certainly the priority of the whole team at Toyo Tires. So when it comes to ensuring a smooth journey, no better route than a quick slant to Toyo Tires. Whether you're tackling the rugged mountains of Denver or cruising the streets of LA, Toyo Tires has you covered. With options like their open country tires for tough terrains or the smooth Celsius Sports for city driving, you can ride with confidence and zero regrets, backed by their 500-mile or 45-day trial. This holiday season, embrace the freedom of the open road. Visit ToyoTires.com to locate a dealer near you. Toyo Tires, open roads await. So you got into some of the picks last week, and we'll go there, okay? We're going to talk about the picks, but I have to, before you even go there, I wanted to give you some shine off the top. So we are going to talk about our picks. So let's go there, but I want to talk about some of your futures after, so don't let me forget that. So yeah, we'll get right into it. So you were 3-2 last week. In the same way for the super contest that we do, 3-2 isn't good enough. 3-2 wasn't good enough this week either on Anik Squared, right? You alluded to the fact that I went 5-0. So you are now 7 games over 500 after going 3-2. I went 5-0, so that's 45-30, 4-game lead over you, so 45-30 overall. And I will say, and not to toot my own horn, but in 12 of the 15 weeks, I've been above 500 on the show as well. So it's not as if I'm blowing it out of the water, but more consistency in a way, because this league is tough. And, you do talk about humility when you do pick these games. And I will tell you all day long, I'm expecting an 0-5 next week, right? Because that's what, you go 4-1 one week, you expect a 1-4 the following week. So anyway. But you're 3-2 real quick. Your 2 losses: Jets plus 8.5 at the Dolphins, Giants plus 6 at the Saints. That one bothered me a little bit. Your 3 hits: Chiefs minus 9.5 at the Patriots, Seahawks plus 4. They win outright hosting Philadelphia, and the Vikings plus 3.5 at Cincinnati, or they came in by a hook. So anyway, those were your 3-2, whatever. My 5-0, Colts minus 2.5, Bills minus 1.5, Ravens minus 3, Rams minus 6.5, Dolphins minus 8.5. I don't like really talking about the 5-0, but let's shift to the contest, right? So we pulled 3 of mine and 2 of yours. So the 2 we pulled from you went 1-1. My 3 that we pulled went 3-0. So we go 4-1 in the super contest. The reason I'm not talking a lot about it is because we're not in the money. We're sort of out of it. There really have been some stretches, though, in this season where we've potentially been, we were a game out from hitting on that week 8 through 10 stretch.
What is our record overall in the contest? Can you at least give me that, or can you not do that?
Yeah, I know this guy's like pointing at me behind the camera.
Well, I'm pointing at you to actually look at the camera.
Overall,
I know you want to look at me. I'm right here.
So overall, 40, 32, and 3, 41.5 points. Leader is at 51.5. 10 games is not a lot. 2-way tie for the lead. So Seattle Paddle and 2 Wong, 1 Wang.
We are 8 games over 500 though in the contest.
Yeah.
All right.
So, so before we move on, you get me all going over here. But before we move on, right? Because I know you're in a rush here today. But I'm not going to talk about our picks last week. That is what it is. But I want to talk about some of the futures that you place because we do have a shared account. I don't spend a lot of time in there, frankly. John spends more time in there. And sometimes I'll see things and I'm just like, what are we doing? Got action all over that. So early on this season, before the season began, he placed a $50 wager small bet on Christian McCaffrey, 15-1 to win the MVP. But I go in there and I see a $500 wager on Brock Purdy plus 280 to win the MVP. That was placed on December 5th. You can now find that minus 200 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minus 260, I think, with our local guy. But so plus 280, you punched that. I didn't even see that till a couple days ago. Certainly the favorite. Well struck there. Anything on that before I talk about some of your others?
Well, there was a time when Dak Prescott had gone ahead of Brock Purdy as the MVP. Now, I knew that Dak Prescott had a big, high-profile, primetime game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and he played outstandingly well. He became the favorite thereafter. So there was a time where maybe I felt like that Purdy ticket didn't look as good as it does right now. But part of these 49ers bets are what's part of a season-long hedge to the biggest ticket of my life, which was the Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC.
Which ain't happened.
Not happening, right? But if that ticket was, say, $2,500 and either Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy wins the MVP and the San Francisco 49ers win the NFC, get to the Super Bowl, I will have cleaned up about $1,500 of that mess.
Yeah, the only problem with that is John's employed by the Ultimate Fighting Championship and I am not. So therefore, that sportsbook account, a lot of gravy coming my way, right? This joint account, right? I'll be the beneficiary of some of those hits if you hit on San Francisco, right? So just to talk about am I wrong?
What does that have to do with the UFC?
Nothing.
Okay.
All right, 49ers, just to talk about your action there. So you hit them plus 470 to win the Super Bowl on October 5th. You might not even know that.
I played it. I didn't hit it.
Well, yeah, it punched it. And then plus 280, you punched the 49ers again. That was on December 6th. Plus 190, the 49ers right now to win the Super Bowl. I like. You?
Yeah, well, I think oftentimes you try to figure out which team has the best chance to get there. But this year, it seems like it's them and everybody else. But of course, that brings us to week 16 shortly. I know I'm not trying to get the cart ahead of the horse, but right, don't we have the litmus test that we want right now?
Yeah, to some extent.
They're playing the Baltimore Ravens in the highest profile regular season game of the season coming up in week 16.
Yeah. So and we're going to go there right now. Just a couple other futures that you played that I liked very much. You played the Bills plus 110 to make the postseason. I understand maybe if it began today, they wouldn't be in there, but they're making the playoffs. And I punched the Steelers on December 7th, plus 120 a couple of times not to make the postseason. I don't think they're making the dance. So looking good in there for some futures. Let's move on to week 16. Following an NFL team can really be a roller coaster ride. 17 games, a lot always at stake each and every week. As usual, the season is absolutely flying by, which I don't love. We at Anik Squared are here to elevate your game, and to that end, we are happy to announce our partnership with our title sponsor, the ultimate game changer, Draftkings Sportsbook. An official partner of the NFL, Draftkings is excited to bring all new customers an easy way to join in on the action. All customers download the Draftkings app, use our promo code SQUARED, that's SQUARED, bet just $5 and boom, $200 in bonus bets hit your account instantly. So don't wait, get some skin in the game, download the Draftkings app now. Stay in on the action. Use that $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays, combining multiple bets together from the same game for a shot at an even bigger payout. And if sports betting not available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. So what are you waiting for? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up using promo code SQUARED. Just $5 on any wager and watch as the $200 in bonus bets instantly light up your screen. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. But control of the board is not yours as we move into week 16. 16 games to choose from. And when you come out of where no buys left, I think I was saying it last week, just I love so many games to choose from. I feel as though I have to start, and I shuffled my order a lot. But so for those of you who join us for the first time on Anik Squared, each week we pick 5 games against the spread. We go head-to-head against each other. Our ultimate goal being to narrow down our 5 selections for the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest. And John jumped out of the gate talking about my 5-0 last week, but that was what he was alluding to. So I have a 4-game lead. We're creeping. It's going to go through Wild Card Weekend, but you better get your stuff together here if you want to catch me. You've talked about it being imminent that you would catch me. I'm going to get right out of the gate. I'm going to go with the first pick. You'll get picks 2 and 3. My first selection on Thursday night, Rams, -4, hosting the Saints. Both teams 7-7. But man, different circumstances when it comes to the postseason picture. Saints tied to top the NFC South with the Bucks. Rams aren't going to win the West, but certainly in the wild card mix. If you ask me which one of these teams has a better chance to win a playoff game unexpectedly, it's the Rams. I love them at home here to get to 8-7. Rams have won 4 of 5. In their last 4 games, they've scored 37, 36, 31, 28. They're putting points up. They've scored a touchdown or field goal on 97.7% of their trips to the red zone. Best in the NFL.
Wow.
Plenty of teams futile in that box. I like the primetime game for Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford. Seem to be pretty healthy on offense. Cooper Kupp starting to produce at a high level again. A lot of weapons there. Have a running back now, too. So for me, on the other side, it's like Derek Carr, and I'm looking to fade Derek Carr, as you know. He'll follow up that 3-touchdown performance last week with a dud. I think, to me, the Saints defense is legit, but I just don't think they carry him here in Los Angeles. So the Rams, they go at the Giants next week. They'll be favored there. Then at the 49ers, but the final week of the season at the 49ers might be prioritizing health and might have that 1 seed locked up. Some of these Rams players won a Super Bowl a few years ago. You can be sure they think they can get into this tournament and make a run. Lakers just raised a banner for the fucking in-season tournament.
Right.
So this NFL has a tournament. To me, even in that defeat a couple weeks ago, they played well against the Rams. So on the other side, to me, how many of these Saints guys think Derek Carr leading you to hoist Lombardi? Derek Carr going to go back to Vegas where the Super Bowl is? It ain't happening. I love LA, baby. Rams have won 4 straight against the spread. I think they cover the 4 here. My first selection Thursday night. Rams -4 hosting the Saints.
Really nicely done, and that's coming out of the mouth of a guy who is 15 games over 500 heading into week 16 of the NFL season. You asked me today at Dick's Sporting Goods, Boca Raton, what the line was on that game, and I thought it was 6.5, 7. It's 4, so we would be a line there, but I am not going to use that as one of my 5. In fact, I can't, and it was not in there anyway. All right, back-to-back picks from me. I'll take the Chicago Bears -4 home to the Arizona Cardinals. Chicago defense has gotten much better as this season has gone along. They're a stingy unit now. I expect they will contribute if the Bears are going to win this ticket for me and win by 5 or more. So Justin Fields threw the ball 40 times last week, just 166 yards through the air. Entirely different matchup here. I think this matchup allows the Bears offense to throw the ball, score some points. Darnell Mooney didn't practice Wednesday due to illness. Hopefully he can go. Cardinals taking on water on the other side, absolutely gashed by the 49ers at home in week 15. Now they go to Chicago late in December. Weather says it's going to be mild, though, Sunday, mid-40s. I still like the Bears, -4, home to the Arizona Cardinals to lead off my card for week 16. And then my second selection, you know where I'm going. I think you do. We're going to Monday Night Football. It's on Christmas night. 49ers -5 against the Baltimore Ravens. So if Baltimore goes in and wins this game, perhaps Lamar Jackson wins the MVP. And oftentimes this season, he has played like the most valuable player. Right now on Draftkings Sportsbook, Brock Purdy is the prohibitive favorite to win the MVP, -200. Lamar Jackson +450. Dak Prescott +700. Christian McCaffrey +1,000. And on it goes. So the Niners had their bye in week 9. I think maybe leading into it, they had lost 3 in a row. At one point, there was a 3-game losing streak for the San Francisco 49ers. Week 10, they win by 31. Week 11 by 13. Week 12, they win by 18. Week 13 by 23. Week 14, margin of victory 12. Week 15, they win by 16. 49ers -5 against the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, both of these teams look like the class respectfully in their conferences. Baltimore is the less healthy team in this equation for me as well. So I would probably play the 49ers up to 6.5. 49ers -5. And Bears -4 to lead my card for week 16.
I like both of those. And I have to say, for me, right, I'm going to just get in on that 49ers-Ravens real quick because you stole one out of my 5.
Yeah.
There. Anyone wondering how much better the 49ers are than everyone else, I think look no further than you said, like this Christmas night. How about Christmas Day, though, man? Three Monday games on Christmas Day. I mean, give me all of that. But I just want to say, it's like the 49ers put up 42 against the Eagles, put up 42 against the Cowboys. And now they get the AFC's number 1 seed. I just don't think they're on that level. And in a league with tremendous parity, right? You have 6 teams, only 6 teams at 32 been eliminated so far. Ironic, this 49ers team feels like just above. It almost reminds me of some of these Patriots teams during the dynasty that were just really the head-on favorite. Most of those years, the Patriots didn't actually win it. But I'm with you. I am all about the 49ers in that game. And I think, really, to me, I understand Lamar's a problem. I just don't think they keep up with the 49ers. So I'm scraping a little bit. My second selection here, though, and I'll get 2 in a row here. My second selection, Bills, minus 11.5 at the Chargers. This is a Saturday game. I could make an argument at the moment, like right at this current moment, that the Bills are the best team in the NFL and the Chargers are the worst. Like,
I think I got a Bills to win the AFC ticket in my drawer right here. I'm going to see if it's just a dream or reality. I don't think so.
You were all over them last year. Well, sometimes firing a coach doesn't galvanize a locker room. Former Patriot Kyle Van Noy, currently on the Ravens, was pretty vocal when he was out there with the Chargers talking about Brandon Staley being good and the guys really liking him. I wonder, Kyle Van Noy being coached by Bill Belichick and John Harbaugh, how Brandon Staley stands up. But anyway, Justin Herbert has a badly fractured finger that required surgery because of that offensive line, man. They couldn't protect him. Chargers down 42-0 at the half last week before losing 63-21. This guy's still scrambling for a ticket.
I know, I'm trying to find the ticket, but it's on your single shot, so we're good.
Chargers 5-9. Like, talk about playing out the string. Keenan Allen questionable. Meanwhile, Bills circling the fucking wagons, huh? So 1-2 straight, should have been 3 straight. Philadelphia 3 weeks ago should have won that game. I think the Bills dripping with confidence. Ken Dorsey fired. Addition by subtraction. I've alluded to that before. Josh Allen, man, so dangerous. Always scoring rushing touchdowns all day. I feel like if you're the Bills, right, it's almost like they're playing with house money here. Every year over the past 3 years, they've been sort of like the favorite. Maybe not as much this year, but everybody loving the Bills. And then you're 6-6, right? I feel like house money. They get back to 8-6, put themselves in a great spot next week, home for Bailey Zappi and the Patriots, and then you finish at Miami. I think you could be sure think they can win out, get to 11-6. This is the blowout on the board to me. Bills minus 11.5, my second selection.
I know you're going to move on to another pick, but I was on that side as well. It wasn't in my 5, but I absolutely like Buffalo this weekend. And it is hard to beat a team inside of the division twice in one season. Don't forget, the Patriots already beat the Bills. So I've never felt more confident penciling in a win than I do the Bills against the Patriots next week. And by the way, this was a ticket placed at Circa Resort and Casino on July 4th. The Buffalo Bills at plus 505 to win the AFC, 200 to pay 1,000. Right. But we're not ripping it up yet.
Not ripping it up yet, and certainly could get a better odd today. And I have to say, on a side note, and I want to look at you, but I'll look in the camera. So Ian McMillan, fan-sided, bet-sided senior editor, right? Before the Bills-Eagles game 4 weeks ago.
Is that the kid with some famous dad or no?
No. That's Gilles Gallant, I believe his dad.
Gerard Gallant.
His head coach of the New York Rangers. You like that pronunciation of Gilles?
Outstanding.
Got me off track. So Ian McMillan, sharp. This cat is sharp. He's won us some money on some golf tournaments. So he was saying before the Bills-Eagles game 4 weeks back that not only is he going to bet on the Bills money line that game, he's going to compound his winnings and bet against the Eagles to lose in every week for 4 straight weeks. They beat the Bills, right? Barely, and shouldn't have. But you can be sure they lost those next 3 games. And even if maybe they were the dogs here, that I know Dallas or whatever, sharp cat, and you can be sure if he got that first one home, there would have been some money to compound it. I wanted to shout out my boy right there. My third selection. Interesting game here. Buccaneers -1 hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you know who I'm picking based on what I said right now? You don't. Good. I haven't been that high on Jacksonville all year. Coming in having lost 3 straight. So they win at Houston week 12. Big in-division game. Get to 8-3. And then they lose 3 in a row. Opponent's not even that great, the 3 in a row they lose to. So now a 3-way tie atop the AFC South, Colts and Texans. But those 2 teams play each other in week 18. So Jacksonville, hey, they finished with versus Panthers and at Titans, should be favored in both. So the narrative in the locker room, we're all right, guys. Get this one at Tampa. Still in a great spot. Just need to handle our business. But to me, I'm not sure they do. I don't think they do. And I haven't been as high on this team. A lot of people were anointing this team when they were sort of creeping around that 1 seed. Not me. And to me, I like Doug Peterson a little more when things are going well. So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at home, -1. Tampa's won 3 in a row. Everything in front of them. Also in a tie atop their division with the Saints at 7-7. They get the Saints at home next week. To me, just 2 teams going in opposite directions. Baker Mayfield, the first passer rating in Lambeau Field, first perfect passer rating in Lambeau Field history last week. So Baker Mayfield on the season, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks quietly. I felt like the first half of the season, Mike Evans, even when things were going well, like he'd catch a 60-yard bomb and he looked like he was pissed off, But Tampa coming home after 2 games, 1 on the road, Baker and the boys, I think they keep it rolling. Small number. Give me the Bucks -1. My third selection, week 16.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, especially when you consider all the mistakes that Jacksonville made in that primetime game against Baltimore, whether it was on the coaching side of things, clock management, end of the half, a couple of missed field goals, just a lot of things that they could have handled didn't go their way. A lot of things that were out of their control did not go their way. But yeah, I would not be back in Jacksonville in any way, shape, or form in week 16. All right, back-to-back selections for me here, week 16 of the NFL on Anik Squared, presented by Draftkings in association with Toyo Tires. Browns -2.5 at the Houston Texans. You look up and the Cleveland Browns are 9-5. You know I love Kevin Stefanski. This line does suggest that C.J. Stroud in the concussion protocol will play for Houston. Doesn't really matter to me. Well-coached team on the other side. Joe Flacco giveth and Joe Flacco taketh away, right? It does scare me when I do watch him. And I'd imagine if you are just watching the game in totality and you're on the Brown side, you do have a gasp or two. But certainly he makes enough plays, right? The arm talent is still there at 38. He can still sling it. And when the play call is right, he can complete big plays down the field. That defense hasn't always been as I've rated them. So maybe I've overrated that Cleveland defense a little bit, but under a field goal, I'll take the Browns -2.5 at the Houston Texans. I just think Houston's going to be better next year. As many strides as they've made collectively, Browns -2.5 to get to 10-5. And then I'll take the Colts +1 at the Falcons. So Indianapolis is 8-6. Earlier this week, head coach Shane Steichen suspended wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie and cornerback Tony Brown for the final 3 games of the season for conduct detrimental to the team. They were healthy scratches against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. I like Steichen, right? I mean, you can't cross this guy. I think he might win Coach of the Year. Right now, Dan Campbell's the favorite, +200 on DraftKings Sportsbook to win the Coach of the Year. Steichen right there at +300. But overall, I just like this Colts team. They do have some injury question marks, I think, with Pittman and Moss, so maybe that reflects the price a little bit here. Atlanta's still alive, haven't been eliminated, as is the case for a lot of these teams in the NFC. They're 6-8. They don't control their own destiny, but I do feel like Indianapolis, even though inconsistent, even though I don't like the quarterback, Colts are going to be a play for me just based on the head coach. Shane Steichen over Arthur Smith. I like the Colts.
That game, just some of these lines fascinating to me. I would lean that direction as well. Taylor Heineke, though, those streaky guys, this backup scare me a little bit. All right, my fourth selection, a little shift here. I'm going to go with the Vikings, +3.5 hosting the Detroit Lions. Lions haven't shown me that they can do it in back-to-back weeks. They've alternated wins and losses for about a month. That dates back to their win against the Bears November 19th. Their last 2 losses, both against division opponents versus the Packers at the Bears. So these 2 teams, Vikings, Lions, they played twice last 3 weeks of the season, this week and then again in week 18. So Justin Jefferson last week, 10 targets, 7 catches from Nick Mullins. Another week for Nick Mullins under the, with the reins underneath him. Some good, some bad last week. I just think this is a close game. I think Minnesota has a chance to win it. I don't like this cliche, Minnesota at 7-7 needs it more than the 10-4 Lions, but they do, and the Lions, they rolled Denver last week at home. They got back-to-back road games here. They go at Dallas next Saturday night. I don't necessarily think they're looking ahead to Dallas because certainly this is no walkover with the Vikings here, but I like the Vikings defense with Brian Flores. I'm just not believing in Detroit's consistency here. I think if Detroit wins, it's going to be difficult. So I'll take that 3.5 in division. Vikings +3.5, my fourth selection. And my fifth and final selection will be an alternate selection here. I'm going to give you 2 that I'm not going with, and then the one that
let me just give you an extra 20 seconds to think about your selection. I'm going to put the camera back on you, and I want you to just go like this so everybody can see your new Anik Squared merchandise.
Merch coming soon, but new logo design.
Oh, you can't go to jonanik.com and get that right now. How about that?
We're perfecting it, just like we're perfecting the studio.
As you were.
Not quite fucking ready. All right.
Yeah, studio not ready. I had to take a monitor out of the studio today. We're not ready at all. Unsatisfactory so far, Jay.
Sound good.
Ha! It does sound good.
All right. My alternate selections that I'm not going with, Dolphins -1.5 versus the Cowboys. I think they finally beat a good team, the Dolphins. Rough spot getting Dallas, though, after a bad loss at Buffalo. I think that's a tough spot. And then Eagles -11.5 versus the Giants. I think the Eagles rout. I almost put one of those in instead, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks -2.5 at the Titans. Seahawks 3 straight wins against the spread. I think it's probably going to be Geno Smith, which I do like better. But the Titans, Will Levis banged up, and I like that number at 2.5. The Seahawks, I just think they're a better team, more to play for here. So my 5th and final selection, Pete Carroll and the boys minus 2.5 at the Titans.
All right, rounding out my 5 is going to be one of 2 big underdogs, either the Giants plus 12 at the Eagles or the Raiders plus 10 at the Chiefs. So Philadelphia has lost 3 games in a row, as you well know. The game is still inside the division, right? And that's why I circled both of these games. I'll probably have action on both of them come game time, right? I would also, by the way, if the New England Patriots somehow, I don't bet on them all year, but if they can somehow be getting 7 points against the Denver Broncos, I might end up being on that side right now. It's 6.5 on Draftkings Sportsbook. But I'm going to take the Raiders plus 10 at the Kansas City Chiefs. Prove it to me, Kansas City. Prove it to me. Vegas, 3-3, I think, under Antonio Pierce. It is a Christmas Day, 1 p.m. Eastern start time, but number 98's always getting after the quarterback. So we'll take the Raiders plus 10. They still have skill position players trying to do some things. So I'm going to take the Raiders plus 10 to close out my 5, which also includes the Chicago Bears minus 4 home to the Arizona Cardinals, Cleveland Browns minus 2.5 at the Texans, 49ers minus 5 on Monday Night Football against the Ravens, and the Indianapolis Colts plus 1 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium against the Atlanta Falcons.
Last year on Thanksgiving on Anik Squared, I think we went head-to-head in all 3 Thanksgiving games. And I will say we do a little of that, and I'm not trying to, but like 45 and 30, right? I had 2 back-to-back weeks on this show where I went 3-2, but I had alternate selection. So my original 5, I came with 4-1. And I will say that alternate selection things, I mean, more often than not, if we're on the same side, I mean, if we're on the same side, we should have kept track when we're on the same side, because I think more often than not when we move off, there's been some, damage there. Anyway, my 5, Rams minus 4. Rams minus 4 hosting the Saints. Bills minus 11.5 at the Chargers. Bucks minus 1 hosting the Jaguars. Vikings plus 3.5 hosting the Lions. And the Seahawks minus 2.5 at the Titans. Those of you who are also fans of the Anik and Florian podcast, check out jonanik.com. All sorts of clean merchandise over there. Some winter hats, too, over there. So get them. Discount holiday, 20% off the entire store. Cody Merrow is our boy, our man at the helm of this program. We appreciate you, as always, for the great Jon Anik. My name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next week. We keep rolling on Anik Squared. We appreciate you being with us. Enjoy the games. Have a good night.
Not this again.
All right, Dom, bit of a slow start for Griffin. Give him some time. Forrest is making his approach here, Dom. He still hasn't found his flow.
Oh! Things are heating up!
Oh, it's on now. Unbelievable. Forrest goes for the left hook. Oh, he's showing off a lot of stamina. He's not letting up. So where are we headed, Forrest?
Really, guys? Get a hobby.
You are the hobby.